Good morning, CLC. I invite everyone now just to take a few deep breaths. Allow your body to relax in this moment. Allow your mind to just put everything aside for now. And go ahead and take another nice, deep breath, cleansing your system, calming your soul, and allow yourself to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your right hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words. I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. In visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room this morning. I turn toward that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude and saying, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday to everyone. Happy last Sunday of April to everyone. We have a special treat today, so I'm not going to be up here too much longer because today's talk is given by, well, she's never going to be a guest in this house because this is home. So that's not going to happen. But today's talk is not going to be by Jesse. As much as we love him and we wish him well on his Sunday off, we have the Reverend Lisa Ryan giving our talk today. Woo-hoo.
Now you get the big sigh. And here's why. We're at the end of the heroic quest, right? Nobody ever talks about the way home. Nobody ever talks about the return journey. And that's what Jesse tasked me with. Now, here's my warning right here, right now. I love the heroic journey. I love the heroic quest. I could talk for hours about this. So y'all don't let me. I'll try and start watching when your eyes start to dip. And Jesse made a crack about his notes, and I did too. I've got like 6 pages of notes, and here's the thing, I may never look at them. Or I may carry them around, you never know. So we've been on this journey for 4 weeks now. This quest, where somebody came and knocked on our door and said, hey, we need you. You're the only one that can do this. Come on, let's go. And you went, are you kidding? You sure you want me? I'm nothing special. Well, come on, we need you. Let's go. Okay, fine. You've talked me into it. I'll go. And we go. And we do whatever. And then we get to this threshold. And we're like, it's really dark in there. And then we get shoved over to that threshold. And we're in the dark. And we look around and we're all by ourselves. And we're going, oh God, now what? I mean, read any book, and you're going to get some of these elements. So now we're in the dark, and things happen. We are tested, and we get to know who we really are. Because sometimes we win, and sometimes we fall a little short. But in the end, we get there. And we win. And now we're at the, oh God, now what? The title of the talk today is Nothing is Ever the Same Again. Do you know why? Because you've learned a whole lot about yourself as you've gone through this journey. You now know your strengths. You now know your weaknesses. You know when you stood up and did the right thing, and you know when you sat back and let somebody else do it. You know who you are. And now you are faced with a choice. Do you stay here or do you go home? When you look at the heroic journey through the major arcana, you have the tower. And there's lightning striking the tower and things are happening and it's crushing. Do you know what the next card is? The star, followed by the moon. Because these are periods of rest. Because when you have been on a heroic journey, when you have been on a heroic quest, when you have been through all of this, when you have had your strength tested, when you have had the very essence of you tested, you need to rest. How often do we do that in this life? We just keep jumping from one crisis to the next crisis to the next crisis. And we never stop and think, whoa. And do you know the problem with that? We never settle down with who we are. We never sit back and look and go, wait, what have I just been through? What have I learned? Because if I stop and I think, what have I learned? Then I can move forward into the next, and I'm not going to call it a crisis, because if I know who I am, it's not going to be a crisis. Now, it may not be something that I want to deal with, but it's something that I'm going to have to deal with. But it won't be a crisis because I know who I am and I know the skill set that I have to handle it. The other cool thing about taking that moment of rest is then I can look back at when I got shoved over that threshold and I thought I was by myself. And I looked around and I discovered I wasn't by myself. Who was there with me? There's one card in there called Strength. And most of the time when you see the traditional card, it's a woman with her mouth, or holding the mouth of a lion open. Do you have to conquer the monster? Or do you just have to tame the monster? Every situation is different. You're going to have to decide that. But whatever happens, something's going to come out of that event, especially if you tame the monster. Then you've got this big monstrous ally. So when you come to the threshold to come out into the sunlight, you're not coming out by yourself. You've met all these people, you've learned all of this knowledge, and you're headed out into the world, but you're not by yourself. So when you take that moment of rest and recovery before you come back, you can assess who you've met, who's coming with you, who you can call on, and who's going to answer you. Because we're all going to remember that mentor, you know, the one that came and knocked on the door and then shoved us over the threshold and disappeared. Now, one of the things that Jesse did say was that mentor is your higher self. So the good news is the mentor was with you the whole time, just not physically. When you take that moment of rest, then you incorporate that mentor into who you are. So that when you meet that mentor again, you recognize the mentor in everyone you meet. Because that's the cool thing about the mentor. The mentor isn't just one person. The mentor is aspects that you meet across the way. So now what? I've decided, I've learned so much, and I've got all of this amazing stuff, and yeah, I guess I'll go home. How long is that walk going to be? In The Lord of the Rings, there were eagles to fly you home. But Aragorn had to walk. So now we're going to go home. Now we know who we are. We've learned something, we've done something. But here's another aspect of that heroic journey. When you get home, nobody may know that you were the one that did it. Can you go back to life the way it was if nobody knows that you're the one that did it? But then you have to ask yourself, why did I do it in the first place? Did I do it for the world's acclaim? Or did I do it because it needed to be done? Because I learned something this morning. This morning, as I'm writing these notes out in the dark, I learned something. And frankly, considering my handwriting's terrible, these notes look really good considering I was writing them in the dark. The last card in the major arcana is the world. And I don't know how long ago I learned the tarot, or at least started learning the tarot, because you never finish learning the tarot. It is so packed with symbolism. But you get to that last card, and the last card is the world. So you start with the Fool and you end with the world. And I had always assumed that that meant at the end of the journey, I got the world. You know what I learned today? I didn't get the world. The world got me. Do you hear the difference? It means that I have a gift to give. It is my responsibility to come back and share that gift, even if nobody knows what I've been through. Can we talk about the various... I'm just going to pick a few because, yeah, I could pick a lot. I've already mentioned Lord of the Rings. How many of y'all have seen the Lord of the Rings? Okay, so I'm not talking to the wind here. What did Aragorn get? He got a kingdom. What did Frodo get? He went home to his village and he wrote his story down. He wrote everything that he learned and left it behind, because nobody's going to learn his lessons with him still there. So Frodo left. He went to I forget the name of the everlasting lands, whatever. He sailed to the east. As did Bilbo. As did the White Wizard. Can we talk about the White Wizard who was gray? And then fought a bull rag. Is that the right word? Let me look at my husband. No, bull rag. And came back as a white wizard because he shed who he thought he was. He shed who he thought he was to step into the power that he actually was. Okay. But has anybody ever considered Sam? Did Sam go on a heroic journey? Did Sam mean to go on the heroic journey? Heck no. Sam was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and got dragged along. Do you want to know who I think the hero of the Lord of the Rings was? Sam. And do you know what Sam did when he came home? Got married, raised a family, and held on to Frodo's legacy. He's the one that told Frodo's story. Frodo wrote it down. Sam's the one that told it. He told it to his children. He told it to his village. When he came back from that journey, he had the courage to ask the girl that he loved to marry him. That's who I think the hero of that journey is. But truth is, there's a lot of words, there's a lot of heroes, there's a lot of different journeys. Okay, just for a minute, let's talk about Persephone. Would you consider Persephone a hero's journey? No, she got kidnapped, taken into the underworld by no fault of her own. And she sat there while her mother had a temper tantrum on the surface. And Persephone looked around and she looked at the suffering in the world. But she also looked at the suffering in the underworld. And she made a choice. You're not going to tell me she didn't know what she was doing when she ate those pomegranate seeds. She made a choice. She knew that she could eliminate suffering in both places by making that choice. Nothing's ever the same again. So she's now the queen of the underworld and still the princess of the flowers. What about Buddha? Buddha's heroic journey looks a little different. If you're familiar with him, the original Buddha, because there's been like 27 of them, there was a prophecy when Siddhartha was born. He will either be a great kingdom, he will be a great king with an enormous kingdom, or he will save the world. Now, if you know his journey, his father went, well, he's going to be a great king. Walled him up in a palace and left him living in the life of luxury until somebody took him out for a ride, showed him the real world. And he went, oh my God. He gifted us with the middle way, the middle path. You can argue he saved the world. He also gave us a gift because Buddha also didn't stay. He sat down, he did his teaching, he taught all of the students, and then there came that time where he ate a bad rice. And he stepped off this planet. But he left us with bodhisattvas, which is a big word for angels. It's the Buddhist word for angels. They are people who know how to get off the wheel of incarnation. They know how to get off, but they choose not to because they're here to pass on that knowledge. So is Buddha the hero or are the bodhisattvas the heroes? Well, I'm going to argue both. What about Jesus? Yeah, I'm going to argue that Jesus went on a heroic journey. But he's another one who came back to prove that it was possible. And all of his followers went, are you kidding me? I'm looking at my husband, who unfortunately is named Thomas, Doubting Thomas. Not unfortunately. Because Thomas is the one who didn't believe, and he said, let me touch you. Let me put my fingers in your wounds. But now that I've said that out loud, could you imagine going up to somebody and saying, let me put my fingers in your wounds? One, it's icky. But two, on a mental and emotional level, are you willing to come up to somebody and say, let me feel your pain? So maybe there's a little bit more to Thomas than you thought. Jesus looked at his followers and said, I am here for a short time. Let me teach you. Let me show you the pinnacle of what I know that I can do. And then he left. And then he came back. I mean, that's the whole point of Easter, right? He came back. But again, he only stayed. He stayed 40 days. Because his followers went into a tailspin when he left. And they couldn't do it. And Jesus knew that was going to happen, which is why he came back. And he came back and he said, all of these things I have done, ye shall also, and more. Jesus stepped out into the sunlight, knowing what he was accepting, knowing that his followers were not going to believe that he had come back. They were going to doubt. Knowing that they were not ready to teach. So he came back. He didn't have to, but he did. I won't ask you what we've done to his teaching since then. That's a whole nother conversation. But I am going to ask you, of all of these people that I have mentioned, what are some of the things that you have heard that they have in common? What do they all teach? Thank you. What do they all teach? I have a short list. That the small and ordinary are where it's at. Because it is the small and ordinary that will always get us where we need to go. They all teach love and kindness. What was Jesus' whole purpose? Love one another. Compassion. That's what Buddha started, was compassion. They all taught know thyself. Now, I haven't mentioned Inanna or Ishtar, but she and Jesus, now she's Babylonian, Assyrian, or Sumerian, take your pick. She and the Gnostic version of Jesus have a similar trek, in that with the Gnostic Jesus, Sophia was following a light and tumbled into material reality and couldn't get out. I mean, look around the world. How easy is it to get out of this? She couldn't get out, so Jesus came to get her. To come get her, he had to pass through 7 gates. At each gate, he had to shed one layer of his divinity. Because he couldn't bring the full blinding divinity of who Jesus is into the material world. It's too messy, it's too confusing, it's too clouded. So by the time he got here, he was on that borderline. Now, each and every one of us go through those same gates. The problem is, we don't remember who we are. Jesus was strong enough to remember who he was when he got here. Now, Inanna did the same thing. Ishtar, she went to visit her sister. Now, there's a lot of reasons why she did it. You can go look up all the legends. Sometimes one of the legends was about a boy. But she had to pass through 7 gates. And as she went through each gate, she had to set down one aspect of her rulership. So when she walked into the underworld, she walked in as exactly who she is, and nothing more. Know thyself. One of the greatest gifts of the heroic journey is to know who you are. Because as you walk through each and every one of those gates, you have to shed a layer of who you think you are, who other people have told you are, what society has told you, what culture has told you, what religion has told you. You got to shed all that. And you got to stand naked in front of the worst thing ever, the mirror. Who are you? Can you look in that mirror honestly? And are you happy with who you see? Can you embrace your strengths? That's the easy part. Can you embrace your weaknesses? Can you embrace your scars? Your weaknesses are where your empathy comes from. And your scars proved that you survived. And then as you make that return journey, you can go through each and every one of those gates. And you can look at what you set down at that gate. And you can decide if you want to pick it back up again. Because sometimes, a lot of the time, what people have put on us is too heavy for us to carry. And we get to make that choice. They also teach us to live in the now. Because once you have died to who you were, you recognize that all you've got is now. In the Lord of the Rings, and God bless me, I cannot remember her name, gave up her immortality to stay with Aragorn. And what is a cornerstone of science of mind teaching? Choice. As you walk back through, the point of the return journey is to make a choice. Who are you now? And that is going to shape your worldview. So, I've left one hero off. I've saved the best for last. I've saved Ernest Holmes. Do you think he's a hero? Maybe. He's just as much of a hero as everybody else is. But go and read The Voice Celestial. Because that was written after his wife passed. And he only lived about 1.5 years after that. It was written with his brother Fenwick. And I think Fenwick knew that Ernest didn't have much time left. And he knew that Ernest had one last thing to say. So Ernest left us this amazing body of work. And what are we doing with it? Good things. We are doing good things. I'm telling you that. Not leaving you with that question. I know I ask a lot of questions, and I don't answer most of them. It's not mine to answer. You have your answers right there inside of you. You have been on your own quest. Do you know where you are on your quest? You might have more than one. But each time you do one, you know who you are. You get down to the essence of you. And right now I'm going to tell you that the essence of you is a beloved child of God. That is who you are. Everything else is material trapping. And I meant that in both ways. So, do we always come back? No. When we come back, do we always stay? No. But what do we leave behind us? That's the gift. We don't get the world. We are the gift to the world. So that is what I commend to you. You are a gift to the world. And the cool thing about it is, you don't have to do or be anything more than you already are. So step out into the sunlight. Remember to rest and recover, but know who you are. So in that knowing, I'm going to call an end to this quest. And I'm going to do it in the traditional manner. In the knowing that there is one life, one power, one presence, one love. And that love flows through each and every one of us. We are the channels which that love enters into this material world. And so I know that you know this love, that you feel this love flowing through you, that you shape this love into a world that works for everyone. into a world where we are not afraid to put our fingers in other people's wounds, where we are not afraid to share our stories, to share our scars, to share our stumbles, where we are not afraid to look around and see our Sam, and to know that in the end, it's all going to be okay, because we are channels of love. And I am grateful to know this. And I am grateful to know who I am. And I am grateful to see you for who you are. I am grateful to see the light. I am grateful to see the love. And I am grateful to know you. And I release my word into law, knowing it is done, even as I speak these words. And so it is. So it is.
And thank you, Reverend Lisa, for that wonderful talk. You did amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And as our ushers make their way to the back for giving time, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, being a part of this service. Is there anyone that's here for the first time? Please raise your hand. Well, welcome back, everyone. We're so happy that you are here, sharing your energy, sharing your love, sharing your financial support. We are grateful to you and for you. Oh, and if there's anyone here for the first time online, please let us know that as well. You can give us a message in chat, or you can email us at info@creativelife.org, or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. We will be checking all avenues and areas and departments and stuff. So just let us know, shout out, say hi. And with that, now we come to giving time. I invite everyone to say with me, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
Before I carry on to our benediction, I just want to say a few words about Reverend Lisa, because when I joined the School of Ministry and Consciousness Studies, somebody called me and said, I am your mentor. You don't need to look any further. I am your student mentor. So she mentored me through my journey. She was kind of my Gandalf, although she didn't have to die and come back to live again. But she was like my Gandalf. So I really appreciate that, Reverend Lisa. Thank you very much. So, the similarity between the hero's journeys that Reverend Lisa was talking about and ourselves is really twofold. One is that we are on a hero's journey. Each and every one of us is here on a hero's and heroine's journey. The thing is, though, the journey never ends. And Ernest Holmes said that even when we pass from this life, the journey never ends. It continues on and on in upward spirals. But to help you on this journey, we have lots of people. We have practitioners, and we have ministers, and we have a chaplain. And we are here to serve you and to help you. So as you continue on through your journey in life, your hero's journey, just know with me now that there is one life, there is one power, there is one presence in the whole universe. I choose to call that one power God. And I claim for each and every person here in this room, every person online, that the power and the presence and the love and the courage and the strength of God is within each and every single one of us. And I claim that as we continue on this journey, not only do we strengthen ourselves, not only do we continue to grow, but we, just by our very presence in the universe, we continue to help the whole world grow. So I just claim that as we move forward, we increase love in this world, and that love, at the end of the day, is truly all there is. And in joy and in gratitude, in peace and in love, I release my word into the divine law, and I call it done, and so it is.
So it is. Say it with me now. Something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use it.
And I love it.
And I love it. And so it is.
So it is.